Hi, I'm Terrell Turner, the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have a special guest, Alan Donegan, on the show. And the reason why I think this is a very special one is because he has a solution to helping entrepreneurs and business owners grasp the things that they need to be successful with his business, the Pop-Up Business School. Welcome to the show, Alan.
Thanks, Terrell. I've been looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Absolutely. Now, before we jump into the pop-up business school, because you guys are popping up like all over the world. I mean, before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about your background before the pop-up business school.
Well, I guess so. I started making money, and actually, one of the things I'm very grateful for is my dad couldn't afford to give me pocket money at school, but he did give me the opportunity to earn. So I was able to go to his sportswear store, take stock, sell it at school for a profit, and make enough money for me to be able to buy pizza and the other stuff that young people need. Um, so I think I'm very grateful for that early opportunity that taught me about the basics of entrepreneurship, which is buy something and then sell it for more than you bought it for. And that's kind of a lesson that's stuck with me ever since. And that's what got me going. But then I got lost in corporate land for a while, where you try a few jobs, do a few different things. I worked out I didn't really fit in. Well, actually, I think they worked out I didn't really fit in and wanted to get rid of me. Uh, and then, yeah, jumped back into starting a training business, became an entrepreneur, worked out how to start businesses. And that's, I guess, the very short summary of how I got here.
Gotcha. That's something that I find to be very interesting that, a lot of people's journey where it's like they had that entrepreneurial, you say, foundation, but at some point they, went into the corporate, kind of got lost in that for a few years before they opened their eyes and like, you know what, let me go back to my roots.
Yeah, let me go back to what I was doing, because I made more money at school and at college than I did in my first jobs, out
Wow.
of hustling as side projects, selling school tickets. I made more money doing that stuff than I did in the jobs. And then you get lost in corporate world and you think you need a business plan and a big amount of debt to start a business, and you actually get trapped there. And it's quite difficult to break back out at times.
Mhm. And speaking of that, so let's jump a little bit more into the pop-up business school, kind of how did that journey and, how did you come to decide on that being your niche? Like, this is the thing I want to do.
Well, actually, so it started with me going for support myself. So the British government ran a service called Business Link that provided entrepreneurs with support to start. And it was free. So I thought I'll give it a go. They gave me a business plan writing workshop. Super exciting. They gave me a workshop on finance, which in business is quite often a code word for debt. And then they gave me a marketing workshop, and they did more to put me off starting than they did to actually help me. And I spent the next couple of years lost. I started a training business, so I ran training courses for corporate organizations. And eventually, through that pain, I complained to the person in central government who funded the whole of Business Link. And in the South, it was a £40 million, so a $50 million project. And I told them exactly what I thought of their project and how it helped me. And they said, well, I was really surprised. The guy rang me up and apologized and said, this
Wow.
shouldn't have happened. We should help. And he spent an hour on the phone to me, coming up with ideas, helping me, and said, look, we don't want to leave you like this. Let me find someone to help. And apparently he passed my 3-page handwritten complaint letter to the CEO of the service. Who writes handwritten complaint letters nowadays? Who knows? But and the CEO is walking through the office one morning looking for who to give this complaint letter to, looking for the person they're going to give this problem customer to. And they see this guy, his name's Simon, he worked there. They give him the complaint letter and say, go and fix this. Simon reads the complaint letter and thinks this is going to be the most painful meeting he's ever been to, but deals with it anyway because it's come from on high. And Simon and I spent 2.5, 3 hours over some strong lattes in Starbucks talking about how you help people start businesses. And he and I started PopUp Business School together to do what we felt the British government weren't equipped to do.
Wow. Wow. That is impressive. Now, when you think about kind of those early days, like how was it to get people to accept or embrace the concept of pop-up business school?
It was a mix, because we had a mix. There were the people that realized that writing business plans and giving people loans doesn't help your average person. If you're trying to start, if you're well educated, well funded, it can work really well. But your average person on the street, ask them to write a business plan, they look confused already. Tell them they've got to take out a large amount of debt, and they're not going to do it. So the people who realized that didn't work were quite hungry for a new way to do things. But then the traditional advisors, the incumbents who've been doing that kind of advice, they've been teaching that for a long time, felt threatened by us. And they, at many points, tried to take us down, stop us winning funding, close our business down. We got quite a negative response, which if you're in business and you get a negative response from someone, it's for one of two reasons. Either it is actually a bad idea, or two is they're scared. Gotcha. And it's interesting when that stuff splashes back on you.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. So what was it like working through, like you said, those, you say, unexpected challenges, or I guess, were they expected for you guys?
I don't know. I think you go into business with hopes that it's all going to work beautifully. So I wasn't necessarily thinking we're going to have masses of problems, it's all going to go wrong. I wasn't naive enough to think it was all plain sailing. But I think even then, when it happens, you get knocked. And that's actually, so if you look at one of the biggest transitions from when I was younger, starting my business age 28, I'm 42 now. Well, I'm 42 next week, so I'm counting a bit early, but the biggest difference is the ability to bounce back and deal with the problems. In the early days, a problem hits you and it takes you down for a week. You don't know what to do. You sat there thinking, how do I deal with this? You maybe get a little bit lost. You feel a bit sad, a bit depressed, and it takes you a while to bounce back up and deal with it. And actually, the thing that I've learned is success is not a lack of problems. Success is dealing with the problems quickly and getting to the other side. Wow. So now you get hit by a problem. I feel hungry. Right, that's it. Let me have the tough conversation. Show me the problem. I'm in, Terrell. Let's go. And it's a different response. And I think that's definitely something I think the audience can take away, is how quickly do you bounce back from something going wrong? Is it an hour? Is it 2 days? Is it a week? Or is it 10 minutes until you get excited to deal with it?
Gotcha. Now let's talk a little bit about, what the pop-up business school is. So tell us a little bit about that.
So the pop-up business school, it kind of does what it says on the tin. We travel around the world and we pop up in different communities to help entrepreneurs to build businesses with no debt. And so we were running a course very recently in Charleston in South Carolina. We had some incredible sponsors, including Sean Jenkins of Benefit Focused fame. He sponsored with a couple of his friends the pop-up, and they pay for it. And then we give it away for free to the community. So no one, 8 years of running this, 7,500 people have been through the course. No one has ever paid to come. We've always found sponsorship.
Wow. Nice. So what's the experience like when a person comes to a pop-up business school event? What's that experience like?
Well, I always love this feedback. They come along and they think it's going to be traditional business training with a bunch of people in suits talking about business plans. And they rock up and I'm normally in a Marvel t-shirt, smiling. There's music on, there's laughter, there's energy. And we have a great time, and it's a 2-week long course on weekdays. And we start with 5 ways to build a business with no money. So how to get going with no debt. We go straight into sales and marketing, and we go through pretty much everything you need to get your business off the ground. And I think a couple of the key differentiators. One is the event we ran in Charleston was in a shopping mall.
Okay.
So we're in a shop unit running a business course. And the reason being is if you come up with the idea at the back in the workshop, you can walk to the front in the shopping mall and test the market. You can start to sell. And it's the quickest possible distance from idea to first customer that we could actually find.
Wow.
Because that's the key moment on an entrepreneur's journey. And I'm sure you've experienced that first sale, holding $20 in your hands going, I did this. that stuff's a drug, Terrell. That stuff's a drug. Do you remember your first sale?
Yes, I do remember my first sale. I mean, it was, I was doing a financial forecast for a gentleman that was trying to bring a hair care product line to the US. And I remember like working through it. And then at the end, when they sent me the check for my service, and I was like, wow, I was like, I just got paid for doing this.
I made that. Yes.
Yeah, so it was definitely, I will say it becomes when you start to see that reward for the work that you just put in, you're like, oh my gosh, like I started with nothing, but I got something now.
Yeah, and it came from your energy, from your brain, from your ideas. And yeah, I think that's the addictive thing. And even as an entrepreneur that started many businesses, I still love it. Can I take an idea from my head, turn it into something, create a difference in the world, and get paid for it? There's nothing like it. It's an addictive drug when you get into it. It's much better than real drugs, FYI. So, get addicted to sales and building businesses. It's way more healthy and better for your bank balance.
Awesome. So now where can people find you online or on social media to follow what's going on with the Pop-Up Business School and what country you guys are going to be in?
Well, at the moment with COVID, we've had our wings clipped slightly, but we'll be back out around the world as we all will soon. But you can find Pop-Up Business School. Just Google Pop-Up Business School. You will find us, popupbusinessschool.co.uk. And if you want to know about me and my journey to financial independence and all of that sort of stuff, just alandonegan.com is the home of all of that sort of stuff. Gives me a platform to talk about the non-business things as well, Terrell.
Awesome. Awesome. So now before we wrap up, one question that I like to ask every guest that comes on is when you think about, your journey, what are 2 pieces of advice that you would share with other entrepreneurs?
That's a good question. 2 pieces of advice I wish I'd had when I'd started. Number 1 is stop wasting time making things perfect and hit sales hard. So go out there, speak to all of the customers, because you learn more from an hour-long customer conversation than you would for 2 weeks of Googling. And go and speak to the real customers. Stop building the website, stop Googling stuff, stop writing a business plan, and talk to real-life customers. And I think there's this thing that real-life customers are a little bit scary. And, well, some of them are, but not many. Like, go actually talk to customers. And I wish someone had grabbed me and shaken me a bit and said, stop sitting at home, go and meet real customers, get on the phone, talk to them. Because I think that's game changing when you're launching a business. So that'd be the first piece of advice. The second piece of advice is people have this conception that business has to be straight-laced, put your tie on, you have to be serious. Mm-hmm. But actually business can be fun. And if business is fun, more people are going to be attracted to doing business with you because, well, we all like to have fun, happiness, and energy. If it's painful doing business with you, no one's going to want to do it. So for all of your business owners listening, the challenge is, how could you have 10% more fun this week?
Wow.
And see if your customers enjoy being around you when you're having more fun.
Awesome. Wow. That's really good. So, Alan, thank you so much for being on the show, for joining the interview, sharing your story, as well as giving us the wisdom and insight from your journey. We'll definitely include the link so people can follow the Pop-Up Business School and see what the Pop-Up Business School and what Alan Donegan are up to.
Thanks for having me on the show, Terrell.
Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.